Incredible. Okay, let's jump to it, Lowell. Let's show the viewers what they've come.
Okay, we're going to kind of do these in batches because I've got quite a few pictures and there's a couple of different things that I want to review. So first I'll take you through some places in Shasta. This was the day one when I had decided to go to Shasta. So July, just after the 4th of July in 2020. And then these are the kind of phenomenon that people capture with their phones when they're there. This was a picture somebody took during these lenticular cloud formations. Yeah, you can see this mass growing next to Shasta in the sky, and then it like powered up. Y'all need to see this week because it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
Well, I've never seen a cloud formation like that in my life.
Welcome to the Endless Possibilities Podcast, where the journey of spiritual awakening and energy healing unfolds.
Hello and welcome to the Endless Possibilities Podcast. My name is Gareth and I'm your host today for another exciting episode. Today on the show, we have probably our most popular interview so far, Lowell Johnston. He was on the show 2 weeks ago. His interview received, it blew up our channel. We gained almost 2,000 subscribers. There was hundreds and hundreds of so many amazing comments for his interview about Mount Shasta and the Lemurian civilization that is living within the mountain. Lowell has promised to come back on the show and share photographic evidence of his experiences on the mountain. So we're really, really excited about this interview. If you haven't watched the first interview, I strongly, strongly recommend you go back and watch that one. I'm going to put a link down below. It will make so much more sense for you to go and watch that one first and then watch this one. We're going to have a really incredible conversation today. His energy is incredible. He's such a great speaker and I'm excited and I hope you guys enjoy the show with Lowell. Lowell, welcome back to the show. Thank you for being here. We had such an incredible conversation. You just completely blew up our channel. They loved everything you had to offer. Thank you for coming back.
I'm overwhelmed, honestly. I've been watching the phenomenon since it got posted, and I was encouraged by the response. There's another tribe out there looking for touchstones, and we got to provide one that day. That was the thrill I came away with. So today, I look forward to these when, somebody's heard me, it's resonated, and they've heard that I had pictures. Well, today's the day that we get to satisfy that little itch for them too, because that was the whole purpose of whatever this photography started with me in the first place, was told by me for my portfolio. And at the time I heard that phrase, I didn't know what it meant. Well, now I know what it means. We're all having extraordinary experiences. I've learned that the devices that we hold in our hands are capable of capturing these things. I saw it so many times before I was in the picture. And then half of me was really thrilled to be in the picture, and the other half was, oh my God, look at this. Who's going to believe it? Anyway, a series of things have taken place over time. So it wasn't one instance. So you can make of it what you wish. There were kind of safeguards in the sanctity of this information that was being, captured along the way. Because at first the pictures I saw, of course, were taken by somebody else's device and then they were sent to me. And then when we really got going, I was asked to hand my phone over so that there's no mistake. These pictures didn't come from anywhere but this device, and they'll always be in the cloud. So with that, we can begin anywhere you like.
Well, so there was so many comments in the comment section, right? So many positive, so many people who actually echoed what you were talking about. So many
Yes.
mystical experiences hiking on Mount Shasta. And a lot of people did comment, where are the photos? Can we see the photos? So
Mhm.
today we're going to show them the photos.
Yes. I'm sure that I leaked that they're on my website, and
Yeah.
you can, if you dig far enough, you will find them. But it does help to have somebody kind of take you through the photos and describe, where I was, what was going on at the time, and give it real context.
Well, I found them. I went on your website. I found them. I went through them all. They're pretty incredible. You were also really kind enough to share with me the pinpointed locations for the vortexes on the mountain. So when I'm there next year, I can go
Yes.
and meditate in them energy
I hope
vortexes.
everyone who hears this asks for that file. It's something a few months ago, it's my nature to like to see things off the planet now. My visions of what I see are from an elevated perspective all the time. And so I wanted to see on Google Earth where these things plotted out, because I wanted to see on the globe where are all these things. And one thing led to another. And it's become a project. And man, the inner Earth cities I know about are there. Then I found that there are underground cities in our third dimensional realm that a lot of us didn't even know about. So they're there. And every sacred site I've been to was pinpointed. So if I had been there, now you know the latitude and longitude location of where I was, and you can find it yourself. That's the whole purpose, is none of these places are supposed to be secret anymore. And
Yeah.
I'm delighted to share what I know.
I looked at it. I live in Ireland. There was 3 points in Ireland. Skellig Michael was one, Newgrange, and I think the other one was the Hill of Tara. Yeah.
It's incredible to kind of step back and see what has been produced now, because man, there's places in people's backyards. I was hearing from people in Europe, and they said, "Well, can you share it with me? Because I want to see if there's anything in my backyard." I'm so used to the things I've visited here domestically that it wasn't that I'd forgotten about them, because I had heard about them. But that puts a whole different connection for people in Europe and those locations, not just there. I mean, the Middle East and places in China, Japan, Indonesia, Australia, name it. We found places on every continent.
Mm.
And I think it's news everybody would be interested in.
And Lowell, what do you think these locations are? Is it just the veil is thinner? Are they ley lines?
Oh,
What?
yeah. No, in my mind, all of these places are morphing into this higher vibration for New Earth already. That's I had read a document that came my way that outlined what the golden Taya allotments are. These are places on the planet, on the surface, that already vibrate at the level of New Earth. People were being drawn to these areas I had heard about before I even read this document. I had heard about people that were drawn to moving to Hawaii, and they didn't understand why. And when you hear the story about how they did it within a 6-month period, how did you leave your house in St. Louis with a modest income and your husband and a child who was like 3 or 4 and found a place in Hawaii? How does that
Yeah.
happen? Well, we know there's divine design behind all of that. And then when you hear these stories repeated in other places, I heard from this sweet woman who had been a teacher in Great Britain somewhere, Southern, I believe. And somehow, when she retired and it was time for her and her husband to decide what they were going to do next, she had no sense of the things we're aware of now at the time. But man, she was drawn to move close to Stonehenge. And
Yeah.
so that's where they reside. And she talks with great delight about just spending time outside in that area and how she connected with it. Now, that was not her life, but listen to what is happening, how energetically things are changing here, and where people are being drawn when they don't even understand why they're being drawn to it. My understanding is that they were sent there to help anchor light. You light beings know what you're doing here. You're helping anchor light in those areas. And once the light is anchored, it just draws more people. They're drawn for reasons they don't understand. And on it
Okay.
goes.
So do you feel that also these locations on the planet can be opened up by us individuals? And I'll share
Absolutely.
I'll share something with you. So you mentioned Dolores Cannon there on the last interview, and there's a lovely, lovely woman called Trina Sheeran who I interviewed twice on the show, and she was trained by Dolores Cannon's daughter. And she does this QHHT,
Yes.
and after we did the interview, she invited me down to do a session in her clinic. And she connects to the higher self, and the higher self feeds information down. And she asked me about what was coming up, what in my work. So I started to see a retreat center in the mountains in Spain, and I could see it so clearly. And she started asking all these different questions, and it turned out that part of my mission was to go to Spain to open up a portal on the land where this retreat center was. It would anchor some sort of spiritual energy that was going to come down. I didn't give it another thought. A year later, something came up. I ended up running a retreat last April. And when I arrived at the retreat center in the mountains in Spain, it was the exact place that I had seen. And it just dawned on me. It was like, oh my God, and it really did feel like something opened up while we were there.
The more you get in touch with that feeling, Gareth, we're developing the sixth sense we've heard about. Well, get in touch with it. It's real. When we talk about how we feel things, this is what we're communicating with. And that is the sense that we're going to use with beings in inner earth, beings off the planet. They vibrate at those levels once you can really comprehend what that means. And we're beginning to see how to do that ourselves. Our DNA has been repaired along the way. And so, what had stunted our growth for a long time, metaphysically, because it's part of every human being, we had just ignored it for so long that I believe higher intelligences, our higher self, however you want to see that take place, was finally influencing ourselves and screaming for attention because
Hi, guys. I hope you are enjoying this incredible conversation with Lowell. This is just a quick request to those of you who are new to the show and tuning in for the first time. If you're enjoying this content and you would like to help us out, you could do us such a big favor by hitting subscribe. Subscribing to our channel lets YouTube know that we are a worthwhile show on their platform, and they push our show out to new audiences through the YouTube algorithm. The more people who subscribe to our show, the bigger the guests we can have on. It benefits us greatly, it benefits you guys, and it benefits our guests. So please, please, please hit subscribe. Now back to the show with Lowell.
Earth is in the middle of her own little consciousness rise.
Mm.
And all efforts are just trying to help humanity get to that place where when the shift takes place and it's right around the corner, you're going to vibrate at the level she does too. And the slip, you're going to go from one reality into the other. But we've already been straddling these for a while, which is why we can talk about these things in great detail, like you just did about your center in Spain.
Incredible. Okay, let's jump to it, Lowell. Let's show the viewers what they've come.
Okay, we're going to kind of do these in batches because I've got quite a few pictures and there's a couple of different things that I want to review. So I think I've loaded this up easy enough to find. First, I'll take you through some places in Shasta because we've been
Yeah.
talking about it so much. We should really talk about that
It's
first.
such a hotspot. I couldn't believe the amount of people who echoed what you spoke about in the last interview. So many
Yes.
comments, so
Yeah.
many mystical experiences, feeling of oneness, visitations, lights in the sky. Amazing,
Okay. So
amazing. Look at
having
that.
said that, this was the day one when I had decided to go to Shasta. So July, just after the 4th of July in 2020, I found a place to stay in Weed, which is the community just north of the mountain. It's all considered part of the same area. And as I was driving down to the town of Mount Shasta first, I had seen this, and it looked like there was something coming out of the top of the mountain with the cloud formation. Then there's a parking lot. The road that goes from Mount Shasta City to this particular spot, which is as high as you can drive, is called Everett Memorial Highway. It comes from Lake Street in town. And if you follow it, I think it's 11 miles or so from town all the way to the top. So at this spot, there are actually 3 levels to park and different trailheads to, pitch off in. So you're at just shy of, I think, 9,000 feet. I think this is 8,900 feet or so. This was a picture I'd taken while I was there. And right after I had my incident, I tried to find it on this picture I'd taken, so that when others asked, they could say, well, where were you? This was as close at the time as I could come to just say, there's where I went. Now, this was the actual place I found that day. So when I had talked about this before, there were 2 places I had stopped to feel it energetically. And then there was a third I mentioned that kind of came off the mountain and formed this with 3 big boulders. This is that spot. So the boulder closest to us right here was one I could get over. And then I just sat there. The mountain itself is to the left side of the picture. And so I sat in there, looked off in the distance before I sat down and began what was about to open up. This was my view from where I was. So you can see way off in the distance where, the road kind of curls, and then over on the left it ends. That's the highest spot to park here. And then you can go off into these trailheads. I'm actually on Shastina, which is her little sister just to the left of her when you see her from where I park. This was the night of my trip to Telos. Like most nights when I went there, I spent almost 4 nights a week stargazing up there. There's 0 light pollution. And on nights when there's no moon, when it's a new moon, you can see the Milky Way and all of its grandeur in great detail, color so vivid. Well, this particular night was going to be a full moon. And from where my chair was positioned here, the moon would have been behind me. So I thought on this night would be the night that I would stop and let's watch the mountain tonight when the sun goes down. We've heard about UFO craft. Let's see if we can catch one. Well, I did. A few minutes before 11 o'clock, I thought there was a shooting star. You're looking at Shasta right in front of you. And almost directly over her was Polaris, the North Star. And I'd seen a couple of shooting stars while I was waiting for something else, until one shot from kind of where the North Star was down at the mountain. It went down, and then all of a sudden, after I thought it disappeared, it made a 90-degree turn and went to the east. Okay, I'm sold. I know they're here. I've finally seen one. And then I got validation, because up here, this parking lot is full every night to stargaze. Wow. I've heard somebody a couple cars down go, did you see that? Yes, I did. Thank you for the validation. And then these are the kind of phenomenon that people capture with their phones when they're there. This was a picture somebody took during these lenticular cloud formations. Yeah, I have a different idea. These are shrouds that take place. And in this week's Shift Watch, I'd found a clip from a few days ago when we were going through those incredible geostorms on the 11th and 12th. There was a guy who had set a camera up near Castle Crags, pointed it back at Shasta, and recorded the aurora. Now, it was beautiful in itself, and the clip he put up was maybe 3.5 minutes long, but at the very end, you could see this mass growing next to Shasta in the sky, and then it powered up. Y'all need to see this week, because it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
Well, I've never seen a cloud formation like that in my life. ever.
There's a lot of it. So yeah, let's stop share because I'm glad you mentioned that. I have a few things to show you that'll address that too. So yeah, let's start here. Now this was in May, and I'm getting ready to return to Shasta, and I'm at my son's townhouse in Santa Rosa. Now I go out to look at the full moon from his deck, and look what I'm seeing over the horizon. That does not look like a typical cloud.
No.
And I didn't notice, but there's more of them in the sky that I didn't see at first because I was just focusing on this. So I kept coming out like every 10 minutes to see how this would change, if it would change. That was a little bit closer. It that's I can't say that's a cloud. It's too layered. It's got too much form. And then it started to split. To me, it was like this craft was just separating and something was staying and something was going. This was happening in my neighborhood. So now you can see some over and to the right and off in the distance that I had not seen before. Yeah, there was more. And then it was reported on the news.
Oh, wow.
The next day, this had a lot further than where I was in Santa Rosa, because this is pointed down like into the mid part of California. There was a lot of this. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
All we get to do is just witness and then share what we've seen. Okay. Oh, well, I can't go much further without explaining who this guy is and how I
Okay.
got an opportunity to do this. I'm sure some of you have heard about crystal skulls. I had an opportunity to meet Bill Holman, who is the skull master for the Mitchell Hedges skull. And it was totally by accident. When my story was going to be shared with Reuben Langdon for his channel, the day we were going to hook up in Shasta, he was with Bill. And so while everybody else was kind of getting set up in the room, Bill gets up from where we were sitting, getting acquainted with one another, and pulls the skull out. And I'm going to have a session. One of three I will have with this thing over the next 4 days. Now, whoever gets to do it once, Gareth, much less 3 times, explain to me how things came into my path the way that they did. That was an experience I won't ever forget soon. I had spent time with that thing in Atlantis. And
So
then
low.
we did some filming out on the mountain in different locations. This was at Ascension Rock where we took the skull with us.
So Lowell, talk to me about the skull. What does it do? What does it achieve meditating with it?
Well, there's a lot of crystal skulls. They're said to, hold Akashic records. I had curiosities when I got acquainted with the emerald tablets and crystal skulls, because to me, there was some kind of correlation. I've come to understand that each one of the skulls holds one of the um, tablets. And that idea about when they're all rejoined, oh, something big is going to happen again. Well, the location of most of these have been found. There's a couple that have not been identified yet, but I saw along the way with Kumu a blue crystal skull. I've seen a few like this, and this crystal skull is the only one that has a removable jaw. It's an incredible piece.
Lowell, excuse my ignorance, right? Because it's something I don't know much about. So I'm just
I
gonna.
didn't
So
either.
no. So have these been? These have been made by humans, right?
I
No.
know.
So where
I
have they
would say no.
originated from?
No one knows that. In fact, the person who had this skull for a long time, um, the woman of the man who found it originally, and there's a lot of hype around it. You can hype it all you want. They finally did have a chance for a university with the proper equipment to analyze this thing, and they couldn't figure out how it was formed.
Okay.
There were no precision tools back at the time that this started. And when you see how flawless it is on the inside, there is a way, and I've seen it more than once. When you look at it on the side, you can see almost a dolphin in perspective form on both sides of the skull. It's incredible. But there's something that drew me in. See where those eyes are right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time Bill sat down with me with it, at first, he's on one side of the small table, I'm on the other side, and the skull's facing him. Well, he's just trying to get you engaged with the energy. And so he'll ask you to put your hands on either side. And just as you feel the energy expand, just let your hands, move accordingly. Well, eventually my hands were out as far as they could go. And he would say, keep going. I go, my arms don't go any further. Well, then he'll turn it around and now the skull is facing you. And as soon as you see those eyes, it's like you're being drawn into multidimensional things that I'm curious about. But I was looking around me. We're getting ready to go off and film B-roll in other places, and there's 12 other people here. So this is probably not the time for me to go, because if I go, I don't know when I'm coming back, and I don't want to disturb the journey. You know what I mean? So I shut it down there. Unbeknownst to me, there's going to be 2 more opportunities for me to do this before the week is over. It was incredible.
Wow, really, really incredible. Look, I should have put this disclaimer in at the start that if anyone is actually just listening to this on the podcast platforms, it's not much use to you. So you're going to have to go over to our YouTube channel. And if you want to go down below, there'll be a link, and then you can see what we're actually talking about, because we're sharing all of these on the screen.
Okay, so let's get to the light beings we talked about, because that was kind of where we left off. And so this is a year after Shasta. I had spent, an afternoon meeting Kumu. Kumu's not her name. When I asked her in the future, when I was to tell people about my experiences with you, how do I refer to that? Because I know you're not interested in publicity and attention. You don't want that. So she was the one who said, well, you can call me Kumu. Her family is Hawaiian, and so it makes perfect sense. Kumu is teacher in Hawaiian. Toward the end of this afternoon, when we were all getting acquainted, and there were probably 15 or 18 people there that day. Here's when she went over to this plant in the corner of this deck that we were all sitting on and started to snap some pictures. This is the first picture that she took. This was the second picture that she took, and you can see some light forms in the picture. Well, she asked me to come over and put my arms around the plant. She gave me an iliome to chant while I was doing it, and I was going to start to interact with these beings. It felt like that one was going in my third eye, and I sensed something was there, but this is my first experience with any of this. She had given me an iliome to chant, and so I did that for like 30 seconds, and I began to feel silly, and so I turned around, but she was done. So this is now, when we moved in the house, she had shown me plenty of incredible pictures she'd taken earlier in the day of other phenomenon that I would love to have. These were the ones that she was talking about that I was going to get to keep at the end of the day. And then this happened. I can feel now, and I don't know that I can pinpoint that it's happened since this day, but I had always had in that part of my being, if I'm getting downloads, that's where they happen. And I was informed after this happened, I'd be starting to get them at night. So that was Friday. Friday at Mickey's, then she left. Now, I don't know what to make of it. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know what the pictures mean. And while we're sitting there, I won't get these pictures until next morning. So we're left to kind of wonder what the hell just happened here and what does it mean? The next morning, around mid-morning, after she had sent the pictures and I started to look through them on my phone, there came a call and she's coming back. Now, we didn't know why, but she had a reason. And when she came back, she had some other things to share with us. She brought food, but she also brought these carrying cases. There were 3 or 4 of them, and they carried. Yeah, we'll start with this. This is an ancient sacred pipe, and it's kind of hard to understand the pipe part to it. If you can see where her hand is over on the left, that's where the mouthpiece is. And if you see the top, we're going to see different sides of this. There were 3 ceremonial pipes that she had brought that day. When asked about where they came from, she had been given the coordinates of where to find these items. And these weren't the only ones that she had. She sent people out on her behalf, and with the idea, you may find other artifacts while you're there, and I don't care what you do with those. These, I need you to bring these back to me. So each one of these had, I wanted to photograph all of it. So let's just stop for a moment and understand what a level of appreciation I have. First of all, who gets to see these things ever? Not very many people at all. 2, who gets to photograph them in the way that I did? It's like I was compelled that someday I'll be able to understand what all of these symbols mean. And that's why I wanted to document it. Well, she held it carefully on each side as I was doing that. Who gets to do that? When I wondered about what the material was made out of, it wasn't stone, it wasn't
I,
ceramic. But
I can guess.
recently, I heard somebody say a suggestion that it was a composite. One of your viewers had listened to the last podcast and sent me an archive of this kind of stuff they had found on
Oh, wow.
a man's property in Central America somewhere. Thousands of pieces of stuff like this.
Wow.
This was underneath. And so now you can see underneath a little more of the alien, if we want to see it that way,
It,
influence. See the eyes and the arms into it now?
yes. Yes, absolutely. And the one that you showed there, it looked like they were light codes of some sort.
Yes, that's what I think. That's why I want to understand them. So this was pipe number 2. And after I looked at them enough, the pictures, I wanted to find something that I might have seen on more than one device. Well, I found one symbol that I did. And see this one that kind of looks like a teepee there with these
Yeah.
3 lines going off of it? Yeah, we're going to find this on another one too. So it has some commonality with something else.
So these are
This,
ceremonial pipes, right? They
I
have been
believe
used.
so, because,
Yeah.
we're going to use them.
Yeah. So some of them codes I've seen before. I've seen
Mhm.
other people sharing similar kind of code. Yeah. I mean,
I want to
amazing.
know what it means. So, and then this is the back. We're through with codes. We have some illustrations. At first, I thought the being was smoking for whatever reason. I thought that was. Well, that wasn't right. It's like he's presenting another child to that spaceship above him.
And that looks like maybe a mountain in the background where the
That's
spaceship
a
is above.
spaceship. No, that's the spaceship.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, there's more. This was the next one. It had some red patina on it, but underneath, I mean, the material is the same. Now, remember that symbol I was telling you about? Yeah, look at that. It's the same
Wow.
symbol.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what it means, but there's something universal between these 2. Look at the back of this and down toward the bottom. Can you see the eyes of the alien influence in this one?
Yes. Yes. Wow.
And then we have this. This is like a medallion, but there are some inlaid pieces to this. Same kind of material. It appears to be a hybrid giving birth. And then again, presenting it to the spaceship.
Wow.
Yeah. Then this, she called, this is a phoenix. And I understand it to be, if it needs to be a weapon, then it works on sound and vibration. I got to hold it, and it feels like stone, but man, for as old as this must be, there wasn't a nick or a chip on it anywhere. And then this bad boy is a portable time machine. You can see that there's been some engravings on the plate, first of all. And if you look at the kind of turtle shell looking thing, if you lift that out, there are 4 exact prongs that fit into that bottom precisely. It has to fit precisely. The kind of oblong thing that you see up on the top that looks like it has an eye carved into it, well, yes, that's removable. And there's a scene on it without any of that in there. Then there's that scene with the eye. And if you turn it over, there's another scene. Then this little, well, it was explained to me as this little Tesla power thing. Those are 2 separate pieces. And they only fit one way. And all this has to balance perfectly or it can't function. But when it does, you breathe your intent over this and you can travel anywhere you wish.
I mean, just looking at it, it looks like some sort of a gamer's device, right? The object on the left looks like a joystick. The object on the
Yeah,
right looks like a mouse of some sort. I mean,
they're all individual pieces.
wow,
So
wow.
let's see. Then we got to this. So we got toward the end of the day, and at Mickey's place, there is an Andara spiral. The house is on a hill. This is down at kind of the next level. Now it's around 5 o'clock, and Kumu is over here taking pictures, and she invited us to come down, and she's got a plan for us. Where we're sitting is next to the spiral, and it looks like I'm holding something in my hands. She's taking these dimensional pictures. That, by the way, is not the sun flaring from behind us. I wasn't holding a damn thing, but it looks like I was. And to me, if you ask me what I thought I saw, I thought I was holding like a baby dinosaur.
Yeah.
Somebody said, whispered and said, that's a baby serpent, and that's Shiva rising to protect you. And here's the swoop indicating Shiva moving in. This is just, when you take dimensional pictures, they all seem to look like you're standing at an angle. No one's standing at an angle. And then when she asked to sit in the middle of the spiral, whatever happened, this was the outcome. So light beings returned, and I could see this mass in front of me. I could see this dense light form, and that couldn't have come from the sun, because you can see the direction of our shadows where the sun is coming from. This is coming a different place. Anyway, I could see how dense it was. I could see around the edges because Mickey's girlfriend was sitting down there on one of the benches behind it, but I couldn't see through it. And it lingered for a while, and you could sense whatever this form was, you could feel the energy.
And Lowell, what is that you're standing in? Because it looks like, volcanic glass or crystals
Those are
in a,
Andara crystals.
and okay, okay.
And these are huge Andara crystals. And when that light hit it, you can see how they lit up. We'll have a master class on Andara crystals another day, because it was how I ended up meeting Mickey, and the significance of what they are and where they came from. That's a whole nother session, but we'll get to it. There are listeners you have that know everything they need to know about what Andaras are, and how they came. Really, they were tucked away in places for when it was going to benefit humanity. So it's no surprise to me when in 1969 they were finally discovered on Lady Nellie's property. And there were a couple other places on the planet they would be. But what is amazing to me is this stuff has been around here for a long time. You got to wonder how long it's been here before it finally came across our consciousness, right? Yeah. So that was Saturday. And then she left again. Now, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be in Shasta for a conference I agreed to participate in. And she's also going to be in the area. She invited me to meet her because she was going to be there. So the week before this conference takes place, which is like 10 days after I'd met her, because I really didn't know who she was, we were going to try and find a time to connect. And so when we did that Thursday, she had shown me there's that stone in the middle of my hand. She had about 5 of them that size. And then the other one was a little shard that was left. And when she showed them to me, she said, oh, when I got here Sunday, I went to Inner Earth and I brought these back. Now, to me, it looks almost like obsidian with some green and blue Andara flecks in it. She told me I could keep the shard, and there was some dust in the plastic bag that came with it, but she was going to keep the big ones. Now, there are probably 5 or 6 really good crystal shops in Mount Shasta, and one that's like a block off, run by a guy named Maziba. And if you go to Shasta, you owe it to yourself to go to the Matrix Crystal Gallery and meet Maziba, because you'll sense instantly this guy's from somewhere else. He can identify all kinds of crystals. He's got a store full of stuff, artifacts. He's this wonderful resource. Anyway, I had met him a few times before. And at first, he's kind of a quiet guy, keeps to himself. But once he opens up, again, he's a fountain of information. So I took these to him and said, somebody gave me this shard and said it came from Inner Earth. What can you tell me? And he put it under a light and he said, well, I don't know about Inner Earth. This came from the Heart Nebula. I'm not sure how it got here, but that's where it originated. So stop and see Maziba. She was also going to give me some Ethereum. And that kind of ties into what Andara crystals are made out of. She was going to give me some Ethereum that was half Ethereum and half light. And I was going to journey on this for the next 10 days. 1/8 of a teaspoon a day, and you're going to get connected to your light being brothers and sisters. So Friday night, I'm invited to participate. This is private land in Shasta, and you see this incredible energetic pyramid.
So that's a Russian pyramid, right?
It is, exactly.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
special technology, whatever that metalwork is, it's unique. It's been outside for a long time, and you can see it has not really suffered any of the elements. Anyway,
And the Merkaba hanging.
Yes. I was invited on Friday to participate in a ceremony here with 2 people that were from Miami, and I thought I was just a tag along. Well, as you can see, there are 4 corners in this place. I'm going to be the 4th corner. So before this begins, the ceremony begins, Kumu hands
and a
me
stone
this.
circle.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. There are the place, you can see from Google Earth, you can see the place where this is, because there's a huge medicine wheel on the property. And that triangle, the pyramid, is just one feature inside of it. So she hands me this to just meditate with while I'm in the session. Here is the blue crystal skull I told you she brought that day. All of those artifacts that I saw a few weeks earlier, she had that day too, with some others I had not seen. But nobody was touching these today. Nobody was sharing any of this today. So it just amplified how whatever gratefulness I have for how I got to interact with it wasn't going to be like anybody else. Then this was Saturday. She was supposed to be leaving Saturday and Friday night after that session ended with the people from Miami. She said, "There's one more ceremony I want you to participate in." And I believe, again, I'm a tag along. There's going to be 12 people, I think, going. There'll be 4 cars eventually. But anyway, I met her in Shasta at noon that day and we drove out. This is just north of Weed. There is nothing out here. So there's plenty of discussions about all kinds of interactions and craft that come and go from this place. This is a stretch from California to Klamath Falls. Anyway, there is a Veterans Memorial Park here, and in it is this sculpture garden. That guy kind of looks alien, doesn't he? This is the entrance. So there are at least a dozen of these in different forms. They're incredible. They're all like 9 or 10 feet tall. And when I get there and everybody else is in the space, Kumu's got them busy, preparing the area. They're asking for permission to, do what we were going to do. And this is a circular drive in the middle of it. And off each one of these spokes is a different kind of sculpture. This one is the one I noticed right away, and it happens to be where Kumu is going to dispatch me. So she said, "Grab your chair, and I want you to go over and wait by that statue right there. And when I'm done getting everybody else situated, I'll come back and find you." So all that finishes. She describes what we're going to be doing, asks me to hand her my phone instead. And this is what happened. Now, mind you, it's Saturday afternoon. It's 3:00. So she asked me, determine what it is you want to get out of this session. Now, I had interaction with these light beings before, and I didn't know what it was. So when I'm coming into this today, whatever information you're trying to share with me, whatever energy is going to be shared, I will believe it all. If one shows up, well, 4 showed up that day. This was the first image she took. And to me, it kind of looks like a Casper the Ghost kind of profile from behind. But then they just got more dense. And she was walking around the perimeter using my phone to take these pictures so no one could dispute they were sent from anywhere else. It's this point right here where I'm pretty sure I sense I can hear something. I feel like this vibration. And to me, it sounded like the biggest hummingbird I would have ever heard. It just sounded like, and it was just off to my right. Well, then it stopped. Well, it went away. I certainly noticed what it was, but it didn't last long enough for me to really focus on it until it started again on my other side, on the left-hand side. I heard this all over again. At least that's what I thought I was hearing, but I was feeling and hearing all at the same time, and then stopped again. Okay, you did it again now, so you got my attention. And then one last time, I can hear it from behind my head. And this time, when I hear it, I feel this rush of energy just kind of pass through me. So whatever energetic baton was being passed, here is where I felt it was taking place. Then this took place. See this little mass over me?
Mm-hmm.
See it spinning? Yeah, she's photographed a craft in the area. Okay, let's take a breather.
Wow. I don't even know what to say, Lowell.
all I get to say is this stuff is real. And I like to think that I'm preparing the rest of you to put yourself in the picture. I'm not anybody special compared to any of the rest of you. My experiences had just been a little more advanced earlier. But I promise you, if you want this kind of contact, you'll have it. It's waiting for us to take advantage of it. I recognize that it's even there, but most people don't even vibrate at a level to even be aware that this stuff is out there. And when it does, without the pictures, people that are having these genuine, authentic experiences, they know for themselves. That feeling thing I was telling you about before, they just know in their bones that this is true. Doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks. No one else was here to experience what I experienced, and I can't take anything away from that. That's what I hope people see, that if you're open to this kind of thing, because it's around us, you just have to invite it in, and here it comes. You'll have an opportunity to take pictures of it too. I was shocked. I had some pictures that I didn't share here today, but behind Mickey's house, there's this incredible forest. We call it the Enchanted Forest because it should be. There's a grandfather and a grandmother tree back there, but I had photographed some sprites, elves, fairies, whatever you want to call them. I photographed them with my phone on that trip that day. So convinced I have captured this kind of information before. There's an app out there called Ghost App that was designed for an iPhone that a few years ago I had seen, and I downloaded it to see, if it would ever work. Well, I didn't know what to point it at, and so what I would try it on, it looked like I could pick up, electronic things. Like if you pointed at a lamp in the home, you could see it looked like a little being. Well, I don't know why, but while I was in Sedona, and I was having my own interactions there, light beings showed up for me on the property that I was staying on there. But one evening I had gone out and pointed at this, there's like a little shed, nothing there. But for some reason, I went out there and I pointed my camera in this direction, and here's this being. It looked like, this little wire thing was dancing over there. And I went inside so I could look at it bigger on my iPad. I had maybe 30 seconds of it, and I went, holy shit, is this right? So I went back out and tried to record it again and again. I took like a minute of it this time just so I could see, did I capture it again? And let me bring it in. I'll tack it in with this other one and see what I end up with. And oh my God, I got more. I went out a third time, and I was going to record a little bit longer, because if I can get this to record like this, I want a little longer sequence. And so from where I was in the Airbnb unit in the end of the house. So I opened the door and I'm looking over at the shed right over there. It's 10 feet from where I am. And so this time I move outside the door, and it's still dark. But as soon as I move over to the gate that separates this part of the yard from the other, the security light comes on and the show is over. I tried to go out and do it again. No, we were done. But regardless, I had 4 little clips of some energetic phenomenon that was there. And to me, totally benevolent. I've had blue orbs come in and out of spaces I've been in that it's happened enough. I'm comfortable with what's going on. So why do we share these things? So when it starts to happen to others, you don't freaking freak out.
So Lowell, I have experience seeing auras. I not all the time, but sometimes if I sit and I stare, I can start to see kind of a white outline starts to form around a person, and then I can start to see like layers of colors. What it means, I don't know. Do I talk about it? Do I tell people?
Mhm.
Not really. I mean, I presume a lot of people would disbelieve me if I told them that, there's a red color and a blue and a green around their head. I know that we can see these things.
Why are you surprised, dude, that you can
Well,
sense auras? Because you're just picking up on the electromagnetic signals of somebody else, and you vibrate at a level to be able to interpret that.
Yeah.
And there is color spectrums to that.
Yeah.
The cool thing, Gareth, is once we start to see that, there's colors in the spectrum that we had not seen before, aren't there?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, incredible, incredible. So, okay, so what do we say to the audience about how they can get interacted with all this kind of stuff
It's
and
their turn. Really,
yeah,
just ignore what everybody else tells you about what they think, don't think. I guess in looking back, I was blessed to have been in a place to be able to step back and sequester. Look, I left my job 4 years ago with, I didn't know what I was going to do after that, but something told me I was supposed to be somewhere else doing something else. And so you just had an opportunity to witness some of the pictures that happened along the way. I agree to let the universe guide me where it wants me to go, show me the things it wants me to show, and then share with others what's appropriate.
well, I do believe that because I just noticed that, like, because I've been running this podcast for 2 years, right? And I know that there's a very loyal and dedicated following, right? But it's slow, right? You know, spirituality, it's a niche. All of this kind of stuff is a niche. But your video 2 weeks ago exploded, like absolutely exploded. It's had almost 40,000 views. It had 30,000 views in 1 week, which is huge for
Yeah.
our channel.
Yes.
And I mean, like 99.9% of the comments were really positive. There's always going to be skeptic. Every video we put up, there's always one or two comments that say, you
Yes,
know,
but
oh,
Gareth, in the scheme of 37,000 views, I could hold up both my hands and have fingers left over from the
yeah,
people that had comments that might not be supportive, but I bless
yeah.
them. I can tell where they're stuck, and I hope that they get to kind of grow beyond what they think they know.
Well, also the fact that they're watching the videos, you know,
True. They watched it all the way through, too.
well, they watched it all the way through, and maybe something gets in there, you know, maybe it just prizes their mind open just a little bit. Maybe, you know, maybe they go and
We're
they
all
have an
just planting
experience.
seeds, my friend, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's up to the sovereign beings that I think are around me. It's up to them to make their own decisions. I'm not here to hammer home anything. These things happen to me, and I can't take away those experiences, and nobody's going to convince me otherwise. I hope that the rest of you are just open for the time that your opportunity comes. I doubt it's going to be light beings in the same way that it came with me, but it's going to be something extraordinary, and you're going to have an incredible story to tell because this miraculous stuff is beginning to happen. When we sense that this veil is being thinned, we're seeing those types of things that are normal in the next realm. We're starting to get a little peek into that so we can adjust who we are in preparation for what's coming.
Well, I'm super excited because I'm getting to go to see Mount Shasta next year with a group, and I can't wait to meditate and see what unfolds. And yeah, maybe I can share my experience next time with you, Lowell, and we can talk about it.
I'm hoping that our trips coincide when we're there. And I should point this out. I don't know why. There's no reason for it to be. But at the top of Mount Shasta, I've done Zoom conferences up there because you can get four or five bars up there. And how? There's no source for internet connectivity up there. And yet, man, the connection up there is rock solid. I'm not saying it's like that everywhere on the mountain, but boy, on those areas up Everett Memorial Highway, there's a lot of places you can pull over, and the signal strength's incredible.
Amazing, amazing. Funny enough, you mentioned the lady last time with the store in Mount Shasta. We're going to interview her. We got in contact with her.
Awesome. You should. I saw that lots of people resonated with Haruko and they know who she
They
is.
mentioned
That's
her, yeah.
awesome. Yes. She's so
S-
sweet.
So she's agreed to come on. I'm meeting with her on Friday, and she's going to share her art, and it's similar to what we did. She's
Wow.
going to show her stuff.
She was the trigger. She was the catalyst for me. When you see her light code stuff and understand, she drew all that by hand. She's just gifted in a lot of ways. I had seen her artwork, and when I first met her, she was very quiet. Over the course of the years since then, I can see that she's kind of blossomed into something else because she can play a flute like nobody's business, too. Whew.
I mean, she was very reluctant. She said that she had to check me out. She wasn't. She said I don't normally do a lot of podcasts, but she really
Yes.
resonated with the show and the message that was coming through.
Well,
So
if she
yeah,
saw Viviane was there, that kind of cracks the mold for the rest of us. If we've seen that she's been somewhere, um, it's a good place for the rest of us to be too.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. The light codes. So um what are they? Well, because I had an experience. I don't know if you know who Tom Campbell is. I was on one of his retreats maybe 7 years ago in a big castle in the UK. It was like 100 people on the retreat, and the first night I got there, I closed my eyes to meditate, and it was like computer code just started going downwards like this, and they were all little codes like what you were shown that was drawn on the ceremonial pipes.
Yes.
What are they?
Yeah. We don't have the whatever that translator key is. We don't have that yet, but it's coming. There, there were lots of things that I understood when the idea that I was going to be receiving downloads overnight. That's a lovely notion when you hear it, but you don't know what that means. There's a sensation that comes with it when I get it now. But I fully understand after talking to some other people that have been through similar circumstances that there's a process to what this download is. And the first time you've opened your mouth and uttered some wisdom that was not yours, you get that you're receiving something that you did not possess to begin with. To me, the first downloads you always get are the interpreters. There's got to be some way that when they send these, when I understand how they send light codes, it's a package of information that
Mm,
when you receive it needs to be unpacked. Well, you need the translator to do that first. So I'm certain, at least in my case, and I can only speak from mine, that those downloads I first received prepared me to understand the rest of the stuff they were going to send. And now it's off to the races. And so in my little human form, won't be any different from anybody else. They're spoon feeding us a little bit at a time. So get used to this extraordinary thing because we're just scratching the surface. There's more to be shared, but I can see that they're a little bit at a time, a little more is being revealed so that again, we don't freak out. My wish for everybody that is going to come into an awareness that this is real is that their fear reflex doesn't automatically kick in. And it's certainly activated to do that because that's what humans are. But man, once you can circumnavigate the fear reflex, then you begin to see all this as wonder and miracle because it is.
incredible, incredible. Lowell,
Yeah.
is there anything you feel that we haven't covered that you would like to finish off with?
No, this is a good bash. I really want to see how people react to this one.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what the future has in mind for us. But you and I are far from done with our
Oh,
conversations.
no,
And
I
I
will
would
have you
like
back
to,
anytime.
at some point, we'll host a live Zoom event. We can do it here. We're limited to 100 seats on mine. But if somebody wants to come and engage with us and you want to do that, let's figure out a day to do that we think others can participate because
I
I'm ready for that.
I think that would be great. And what we could do is we could let the comments come in at the side and we could answer live questions. I think that would be
Yes,
amazing.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. We go live on the
Well, if we're
YouTube.
on Zoom, everybody's live.
Yeah. We could do it, and we could record it and put it up as a podcast as well. Amazing.
Exactly. That's what
I
my
would love
first
that.
podcasts were. They were Zoom sessions, and when 6 or 8 people showed up, if you want to ask a question, many people were quiet. The first 1 or 2, they didn't want to open their mouths because they wanted to find out if this was safe space. They found out that it was. And then they were incredible. It wasn't supposed to be a podcast where I brought in a guest and we're going to talk about stuff that I'm not qualified to talk about. I'm an experiencer. I got other experiencers. You want to ask questions of those people? Here's your shot. We should do
Amazing.
that.
I can't wait. We'll
Okay.
definitely circle back around and we'll do that. Thank you so much again for sharing your time, for being so generous, sharing the photographs and your energy which is incredible, Lowell. It really is. So many
Thank you so
people,
much.
they loved your previous interview. I'm sure they're going to love this one just as much. Lowell, thank you so much. Thank you to the viewers and listeners. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
This has been the Endless Possibilities Podcast, where the journey of spiritual awakening and energy healing unfolds. Gareth is a lifelong seeker of truth, a spiritual teacher and author, and it's his passion to delve into the profound world of consciousness. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we hope you've gotten something from it. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, the podcast is available on YouTube and all the major podcasting platforms. Find us on Instagram at _mother_force. Take care, and we'll see you soon on the Endless Possibilities Podcast.